Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I'll give you a minute to join in for another Conversations with the Council President. I've been doing these Facebook Lives for everyone, at least on a weekly basis since we've been teleworking, because I want to make sure everybody gets all the information that they can and that most of all we stay connected. So let me make sure I'm adjusting. If the picture is not good or you can't hear me, let me know. I really appreciate it. First of all, I want to thank everyone really a lot. I'm telling you, when your birthday comes on Facebook, it seems like there's no end to the happy birthdays. And that was yesterday, was my birthday, April 20th, 2020. And I want to thank everybody for all the wishes from my phone, text, Facebook Messenger, Facebook Live, Twitter, all of those. So really thank you. I really appreciate that. It's good to always let people know that you're thinking about them. I try myself to try to keep up, particularly since Facebook alerts us and lets us know that it's someone's birthday, just to say, you know, we're thinking about you, and I appreciate you all doing that. So for this Facebook Live conversation with the Council President, I certainly want to hear from you and be able to answer any questions you have. A lot's been going on in the news, and I want to get to that. But yesterday we had our regularly scheduled full council meeting. As you know, during the spring we have a break from having meetings, and the council's been working through that break because a lot has been going on with the coronavirus pandemic, and council members as well as my office has been trying to stay in touch with our constituents, pass out information, give good resources, and let people know what's going on in the city and how they should prepare for this. And so we have all been working, having weekly updates with the mayor to find out, to make sure that we're on top of what's going on, and to share our concerns or your concerns with her as we have those conversations. So this has been going on, and now we're back in full swing. Again, we had our full council meeting yesterday. Let me turn this down. Yesterday. And we will have our regularly scheduled meetings. And as you know, if you go to my site, Felicia Moore, Atlanta City Council President, and I would share it with friends and others that you know who want to stay in touch on what's going on with City Hall. Please like that page if you're not already on it, and share it with your friends to like and to follow, because we will continue to post when meetings are taking place. Because our meetings are remote and we're doing them by teleconference, we have finally got the technology together so that you can leave your public comment. At first we were asking for emails that we were putting in the file and just recognizing that we received it. But now we're getting closer to how we would have a meeting if we were in person. And so what you can do is call in, and the number will be provided, and we'll make sure that we put those on our notifications. You can leave your voicemail, and it will be played during the committee and or council meeting so that we can hear directly from you. So we still want to hear your input, and we are still moving remotely. So today, yesterday was our full council meeting. Next week will be committee weeks. Some of the committees have changed their time, and so we will make sure that we get that schedule up, and again the information on how you can access the meeting live. Since most all of you are on Facebook, you can certainly go to the Atlanta City Council's page and see the past meeting, or see the meeting live, the committee meeting that you are interested in live on Facebook. And I do think they also do Twitter and Periscope. So any of those mediums, you should be able to view it live. Our website for the City of Atlanta was down yesterday. I'm not sure if it's up today, but I know they're working on it. So as soon as that is up, you should be able to access more information from your Atlanta City Council and other aspects of city government on the city's website. So I don't have my usual props that I have, but I do want to remind everybody, because it's extremely important in this day and time, to make sure you fill out your Census 2020 form. It took me all but 2 minutes. I kept looking back and forth and said, well, is there something else you want to know? I want to tell you more. But it's really very simple and easy. You can mail it in or you can do it online. The instructions are there. It came in the mail. They've also sent people reminders, but it's extremely important. This COVID-19 issue makes it even more important. When there was the CARES Act, which is the federal funding that was coming to cities, some directly to cities, some through the state, the city of Atlanta almost got knocked off the list because we were a little under 500,000 in population. We were able, of course, with our wonderful senators and representatives on the federal level to get on that list, because we just were shy of that. But we shouldn't have had to fight. If 10 years ago we would have counted every single person, we would have been well over that number. We want to make sure that we count everyone so that we can get the federal funding that we need, and particularly post-COVID-19, whenever that comes, there will be continued funding, and we need to make sure that the city of Atlanta gets every dollar it deserves. It also helps us with community development block grant funds, which go directly to a lot of agencies that serve our community. It deals with reapportionment, how things are apportioned in terms of seats for city, state, and federal government. So we need to make sure that we get counted, because it has so many implications. The second thing is you've received your absentee ballot information. And the absentee ballot information is extremely important as well, because in this COVID-19 environment, you don't want to be the one that has to be in a line waiting to vote with a lot of other people, when social distancing is the way that we keep the curve flattened and that you less likely to run into COVID-19. So please fill out that absentee ballot application. Understand that if you early voted, I think it was back in March, please still fill out that form, because the presidential election will be on that ballot, and so you will be voting for other things. So please make sure, no matter whether you voted early before or not, that you fill out that ballot application and send it in. They will send you a ballot. They're also looking at drop-off locations where you can just drop your ballot off in a box somewhere. So we will post that information when we see it. There will be more information on that, or you can mail it in. So please do that. So the other thing, I just want to talk quickly. I see some comments, and I will get to those, that we talked about yesterday at the council meeting. So there was an executive order, and the council approved the $7 million for COVID-19 assistance. It came out of our big reserve that we have. And so just so you know, there's $1 million for children food programs, $1 million for senior food programs, $1 million for homeless preparedness, $1.5 million for small business continuity, $1 million for emergency purchase of technology for the city of Atlanta because we've had to telework, and another $1.5 million to partner with some financial partners for emergency assistance to employees and hourly earners. Also, the council approved the Atlanta as a Vision Zero city, and that entails the reduction of speed limits on those streets that we can reduce the speed limit to 25 miles an hour. And if we get more detailed information, we will send that. I do know that there on the Atlanta City Council page, and perhaps mine, you can find information and the work session where they talked about this in detail. It also helps to enhance bike lanes. Okay, there was a legislation for immediate consideration that was approved by the council, urging you, and I urge you as well, when you're out in public, and I hope it's only for essential things, that you are wearing face covering over your nose and your mouth. And you do this when you're going to grocery store, going to pick up your prescriptions, or what other essential thing that you're doing. And so we're encouraging our citizens to do that. Let's see. So some other items, one is trying to establish with the Fulton and DeKalb County, we're urging them to have point of care on-site testing facilities, as you all know, across the nation, and of course here in the state and the city. Testing for COVID-19 is not where it should be at all. People are not able to access it, and we're asking for that, and particularly in African American communities, and making sure that they're able to access these testing sites, because as you know from seeing the news, if African Americans, blacks get COVID-19, they're more likely to die from it because of a lot of the health disparities and pre-existing conditions that African Americans disproportionately have. And so we are really wanting to make sure that we get testing locations easily and accessible in the African American community, so that we can make sure that they are able to take care of themselves. And then let's see. We also asked in a resolution, two resolutions that were passed. One is to make sure that the council, which means that we can share that information with you, and I will as well, can get adequate and ongoing reporting from the executive branch, the administration, mayor's office, on any federal funds that we receive to help us with this COVID-19, and any expenditures that we have for the money that we have put out or money that comes in. And so those are some of the highlights, not all of them, but some of the highlights from yesterday's meeting. A lot of information and legislation will be going to the committees next week, so you want to tune in to figure that out. Now, I saw some questions, and I'm going to go back. And I know one was a question or a comment. Governor Kemp call was disappointing, and I don't agree with the move. And this is from Liz Zepeda. I'm sorry. His bad representation for American people and Georgia in general. So I do have some comments about that, and I have been asked, and I was disappointed as well as you, Liz. I was expecting perhaps that he was going to come up with the end date for his order, which would have left it to the cities to do orders, but that was not it. And as you know, massage parlors, hair salons, tattoo shops, restaurants, a lot of different locations are open. And here's one of my major concerns when I was just kind of piggybacking on what I was saying. I don't know how you social distance, and I put this on my personal Facebook page, and I got a lot of comments from it. How do you social distance when you're getting a massage? And how do you social distance when you're getting your hair cut or you're getting your hair fixed? Those kinds of things are very close proximity, and I would encourage everyone to refrain from it if possible. And I believe it's possible. You've gone this far, or should have gone this far, for about a month now. And I'm also very concerned for those, certainly, who have beauty shops, barber shops, and others. I know that this is an economic hit to them, and it was of no fault of their own, or this COVID-19 was of no fault of our own, but it is something that we have to deal with. I posted an article maybe a few weeks ago, and I believe it was in Detroit, but don't quote me on the location, where there was a barber who they had the shutdown, stay-at-home orders, and barbershops were not to be opened. And so he went off to continue to be a barber, but go to people's homes and provide his service. And he wore gloves, he wore masks. They even showed pictures of him with that on, but he did end up with COVID-19, fell ill, and 4 days later, after he found out he had it, he died. And so it is a close proximity service that you're providing. And even though we know that we want you to cover your face when you go out in public, we want you to protect yourself when you're out in public, we still don't know enough about this virus to be able to adequately protect ourselves. We're learning new things every day. I saw a model where someone showed how there was a restaurant. I think they did this test or survey in China, and 3 tables around a table, all of them ended up with the virus. And they weren't so sure that it was just because of the air conditioning or the airflow or whatever. They just think it's being in close proximity. So this is a highly, highly infectious disease that, again, is a norovirus, which is new, means new, and we don't know enough about it, and they're still trying to learn about it. And as you do that, you've got to be cautious. But one thing that we do know is limiting your access to other people and proximity to other people is a lifesaver. It is the only thing that they know will really work. And the I guess the most insidious thing about this virus is that it appears that more asymptomatic people, asymptomatic meaning you don't have any symptoms, you're not coughing, you're not sneezing, you're not feeling bad, you don't feel bad, you feel fine, like, hey, I'm feeling fine now, but I could be asymptomatic. I don't know, because we don't have the testing for people, 1, to find out if they have it, if they have symptoms, or 2, to find out about it if they don't have symptoms. So there are a lot of people who look healthy and just fine that are walking around spreading this virus. And that is answers some of my questions as to how this could spread so quickly, so fast, and so far. I read an article yesterday. I'm a news junkie, but I read one yesterday in Boston where they did a sample testing of a few of the shelters there and found 1/3 of that population were COVID-19 positive, but were also asymptomatic. They didn't have symptoms. And so what I'm saying to you is, despite what the governor order he puts in, or the city's orders, or our federal government orders, this is a time where you be very thoughtful and care for yourself and your loved ones and your family. And I would only urge you to please stay in place. So let's see if I had some other comments. Yes, we do need, wrong thing, wrong way. Hold on, let me turn my camera back. Okay, let's see. I was trying to get the comments. I think yes, again, census, thank you, Liz, and the absentee ballot information is very important. What's happening with effort to change speed limit to 25 miles per hour? I talked about that earlier. That's Atlanta Vision Zero. I think that's what it's called. And it has passed the city council. And so it now goes to the mayor's desk for signature. And I don't know if the city's oh, wait a minute, I think so. I don't know if they were saying it's back online or not. Let me keep going. And I have some information posted there for everyone so that you can see it. Rick Clear, let's see if I can. So important. It's not about the risk we take for ourselves in going out. It's about unknowingly passing it to others. I agree. I had a mild case of COVID-19 at its worst, scariest sickness in my 66 years. Rick, I'm so sorry to hear that, and I'm glad. I hope that you are recovered and better. And one thing I do know, just in watching the news, everybody seems to take to having this virus in different ways. And so, Rick, I hear you saying it, and I've heard other people say that it's very scary. People have said that they've had the flu before, but this is worse than any flu that they've ever had. And some people who get increasingly ill that may have to go to the hospital have said that they feel like they're drowning. So there's a lot of different things, and there are a lot of lasting effects from this. And so this is a very dangerous virus that's going around, and particularly if you can't even figure out how you may have got it. How do I respond to President Trump's liberation of certain cities and states? I don't respond to that. I feel the same way as I do with the governor's response. I believe it's too early and too soon for us to go back to normal. We have not done, and I'll use the state as an example. The president of the United States came out with a 3-step plan on how you can open up. The state of Georgia has not even met the criteria for the first. A week or so ago, our governor said that he spent millions of dollars to open up and retrofit the Georgia World Congress Center into a place where people overflow for medical people with COVID. And then the week after that, you open it up and admit that more people will be exposed to it. So I'm just urging everybody not to be one of those people in those beds. I'm not going to be. I'm going to care for myself. I think we're going to have to listen. I prefer to listen to the doctors. I would encourage people to listen to Sanjay Gupta, Dr. Fauci. Listen to people who are medical professionals who know about diseases, and particularly virus infections like this, that even they admit is new and they are learning every day, as opposed to our elected officials, because elected officials are tending to want to balance economy with health. And I think that they're both intertwined. If everybody gets sick or dies, there won't be an economy anyway. If people are fearful of going back to work, then that's going to hurt the economy. I really encourage those people, those tattoo artists, those beauticians and barbershops and masseuses, to really think long and hard about whether or not you are prepared to open it up and putting yourself and your family that you will come in contact in risk because of your patrons. And I would say to the patrons to be very concerned about putting yourself at risk by also doing it. See, what impacts, hello Mr. Akins, what impacts do you see the city services in the FY21 budget? Do you anticipate a reduction in force, furloughs, or major cuts in city services? Certainly we're going to have to make some adjustments, and most people who follow city government and our budget know that a majority of our budget are personnel expenses. I mean, it's probably about 75% of the budget. And so in order to make adjustments, you either have to cut expenses or increase revenues. Cutting expenses would mean that we would have to do either some furloughs or a reduction in force in some way. We've made some major commitments to our police and firefighters, which I know we would want to keep. So there would have to be some adjustments, and I would say to city employees to be very frugal with your money, be cautious, and wait to see how this plays out. We already know that it's been mentioned there's a $35 to $40 million budget deficit in this year's budget, which ends in a month and a half. And so the next year's budget starts July 1st, and there are going to need to be some major adjustments. So I would say that employees would need to watch that, because I don't think that people can absorb a property tax increase, which would have to be the other thing. Other way, we have increasing revenue or increasing fees on businesses, etc., when everybody is trying to keep their heads above water fiscally because of this COVID-19. So that's my response to that. Let me see. What is the latest on the Inspector General? I don't know. Everything has kind of been up in the air at this point. And thank you all for wishing me happy birthday again. From yesterday was my birthday. We need a citywide 25-mile-per-hour limit. Too many pedestrian deaths. Well, they voted for that in the Atlanta Vision Zero and the implementation, I'm sure, will come. Thank you for thanking me, Mr. Riley. Why was construction allowed? During the shutdown, it was considered an essential business, and it continued. They should practice social distancing. Actually, road work that I know is taking place, as well as construction, it might not be a bad thing if they can do it socially. And who was that asked me that? To Mr. Carlson, to do it now while the roads should be relatively clear and there's not a lot of traffic and people in the way. So that has been across the board in most stay-at-home orders, that construction has been able to continue. And let's see. Okay, DC, yes, I agree that we are in trouble if people listen. I hope people, you would want to tell people to listen to their elected officials. You heard what the governor said, but again, I ask you to use your own common sense and own judgment to protect yourself and your family, and stay in and prepare yourself when you go out. Wear your face covering, your gloves, whatever you feel you need to do. Make sure you're washing your hands. Make sure you keep your social distance. Even when you go to the grocery store, sometimes people are just forget about it. You're looking at something. I was looking at something in spices when I was in the grocery store, and this woman just came up and pretty much stood in front of me. I'm thinking, I jumped away from her. I'm thinking social distance. Some people aren't getting it, but you have to be responsible for your own self. What was the outcome of the Tree Trust Fund and the South River property? That one was Ms. Norwood. Hi, how are you? It was sent back to committee. I agree, Lucy. That is great. That is no mandate to go out. So stay in. And so I'm going to start to wrap up. I don't like to go longer than 30 minutes to keep everybody's attention. I will do another one, and we will post when that will be. More than likely, it will be either Monday or Tuesday next week, but I need to look at the schedule. I want to keep contact with you, particularly as we're sheltering in place, and I can hope that you continue to do so. Know your Atlanta City Council is still working. Please like and follow my page, Felicia Moore, Atlanta City Council President. Share it with others, because we will continue to keep you updated on council meetings, committee meetings, and any other information, particularly during this pandemic, that we can do to help you. Again, thank you all for wishing me happy birthday. Thank you for wishing me belated birthday. Please stay safe. Use your own good sense and stay at home. Take care and have a blessed, wonderful, beautiful Tuesday.